Hello friends, welcome to a session on print media production. I am Simran Kohli and the subject expert is Mr. S.K. Singh, a working journalist for more than 25 years and a visiting faculty with select media institutes. In today's episodes, we'll discuss different steps that we face in the production of a newspaper. Topics discussed mainly are size, grid and design of a newspaper, use of typography, placing of different types of headlines, captions, selection and editing of photographs, advertisements, making of font, editorial and supplementary pages. Production of newspaper has evolved with time. From the first printing press developed by Johannes Gutenberg in the 15th century to the modern offset printing press, a lot has changed. Size or format of a newspaper. Let's begin with the size of newspaper. Internationally, the size of newspapers are not standardized. It is different in different countries. Even within a country, different organizations use different sizes. For example, in the US, New York Times uses a size of 305 into 559 mm, whereas the size of Wall Street Journal is 305 into 578 mm. There is also a Berliner size 315 into 470 mm, which is commonly used by newspapers in European countries. In India, sizes of different newspapers vary slightly, but most of the newspapers have an approximate size of 550 into 350 mm and the print area is 520 into 330 mm. Broadly speaking, in India we can see newspapers of two sizes, broadsheet and tabloid. Size of a tabloid is often half the size of a broadsheet newspaper. These are very close to A3 paper size. Here are some examples: broadsheet newspaper, Berliner newspaper, tabloid newspaper. Anatomy of a newspaper. Newspapers are divided into different sections. Nature of each section is different and contains different kinds of stories. Most common sections are front page, local news, national and international news, editorial, business, sports and entertainment. Order of the pages might be different in different newspapers. Now let us briefly discuss the nature of these pages. Front page. Most important news stories of the day appear on the front page. These might be related to happenings in political, local, national, international, business, sports or entertainment. Local page. Here local means the place where the newspaper is published. It also covers the news from nearby places. For example, a newspaper published from Delhi may have news from Delhi, Gurgaon, Faridabad, Ghaziabad and other nearby places. Edit page. It is also called the opinion page. Generally, components of this page are editorial comments on one or two burning issues, one or two articles by renowned persons on issues which are in limelight, infographics or cartoon. Recently, some organizations have introduced interesting photographs and light read materials on the edit page. Some newspapers have an op-ed, opposite of the edit page section also. It also contains articles and opinions on different topics written by renowned persons. Business. A newspaper based on its readership may have one or two business pages. It contains business and economy related national and international news. News related to economic policies, financial results of a company, expansion or other plans of corporate, etc. appear on business pages. Sports. Like business, the sports section might also be spread in one or two pages. When big sporting events like FIFA World Cup, Champions League, IPL are going on, more space is given to the sports related news. Entertainment. What's going on in the world of movie, television, theatres and digital platforms? One can get news related to it in this section. Movie and play reviews. Information about upcoming events are also placed on this page. Grid and design. After anatomy, let us discuss the use of grid and design. Grids and designs are the most important part of the production of a newspaper. A designer may work within the limits of grid or intentionally go beyond that. Grids are said to be the backbone of layout designs. Grids create a structure and are used as a guide to place text, photographs and advertisements on the page. Use of grid makes everything appear organized and easy to follow. Grids also give distinct identity to a newspaper. Based on use, grids are mainly of two types: manuscript grids used in documents, books, etc., column grids used in newspapers and magazines. There are also other types of grid such as baseline grids where text sits and hierarchical grids used in web design. All kinds of printing, be it a newspaper, magazine or book, are based on grids. In fact, grid-based design is being used in print from the beginning of the press. In a newspaper or magazine, text flows in each column based on the size of the news: 2, 3, 4 column, etc. Photographs related to a particular news are placed within the structure of the news. Independent photographs are also used, but these are also based on grid. Maintaining basics of the grid is necessary, but it is not compulsory. In a newspaper having 8 columns, total width will not change, but the number of columns may vary. For example, a 4-column news can be designed in such a way that it will look like 3 columns. For this, space of 4 columns is subdivided into 3 columns and then text and photographs are placed. In a 5-column space, 3.5 column is used for image and 1.5 column for the text. There are some terminologies used in grid design. Gutter space. The space between 2 columns is called gutter. This space remains fixed throughout the newspaper, but it can be different in different newspapers. Common gutter space is 3.5 to 4 mm. Column size. Width of a column is the size of the column. In a 8-column newspaper, size of each column is 1.5 inch or 3.8 centimeters. Jump. When text is flown from one column to another, it is called jump. Modular grid. Till a few years back, newspapers were not designed in modules, but now almost all the newspapers use modular designs. In this design, each news item is designed in rectangle as a separate package. 2 or more related news items can be placed in one rectangle, but 2 different news cannot be treated in this way. Grids are also important for advertising. Generally, advertising space is sold according to grid and column sizes. For example, 1 into 5 means a space of 1 column width and 5 centimeter in height. A full page advertisement means 52 centimeters in height and 33 centimeters in width. Layout design. As text is a medium of communication, layout design is the medium of visual communication. The secret to any good design lies in the way its visual elements are organized and positioned in relation to each other. Layout is the process of placing text and image on the page so that a balanced and harmonious visual impact may appear. Based on grids, a designer usually divides a page into several geometrical spaces. It may consist of vertical, horizontal, oblique and curved borders, margins, columns and intercolumn spaces. A layout must not only be visually appealing but also tell the importance of stories. The arrangement and placement of different elements on each page give the newspaper an attractive look. Number of stories, columns, photographs, photo caption, advertisements are the basic elements that are to be placed on each page. While designing a page, the designer must keep in mind the nature of the page, whether it is front page, back page or any inside page. As a general rule, most important news of the day is placed as lead story on the front page. If there are two important news stories, then both are given equal weightage on the page. Nowadays, most of the newspapers try to place as much news on the front page. To accommodate maximum number of news, a separate column is made for news in brief. Brief of important news stories that are being placed on inside pages are also given space on the front page. A photograph representing the most important event of the day is also placed on the front page. Sometimes very interesting and independent photograph is also used. It can be placed in the upper or lower half of the page as desired. News of light nature or interesting news is placed as anchor story. So far as inside pages are concerned, there are lead stories on each page. Placing an image and anchor story depends on advertisements on the page. Typography. Typefaces or font family bring aesthetics and give an identity to a newspaper. Most of the organizations choose their own typefaces. These are carefully chosen for the nameplate or the masthead, headlines and text. Pointer, Helvetica, Franklin Gothic, Times, Utopia, Nimrod are amongst the most popular typefaces used globally. When a reader looks at a newspaper, first thing he finds is the masthead, which is the unique identity of a newspaper. Then reader looks at headlines. Headline type is the most dominant typographic element on the page. Headlines should be chosen to reflect the overall personality of the paper. Only after seeing the headline does the reader go through the text of news. Both serif and sans serif types are used in headlines. Most of the newspapers use serif type in text as this type is more visually pleasing to the eye. Serif type has a horizontal flow, whereas sans serif type takes slightly longer to read. Serif is a small line attached to the end of a letter or symbol. Sans serif doesn't have the small lines attached to the end of letters. Copy. After the headline, the reader goes through the copy. Copy is nothing but news in detail. It is also called the text. Sometimes after the headline, one or two subheads are placed to better understand the news. After subhead, byline is given and then the text flows. It is written by editors in more formal language. Slangs, colloquial expressions and abbreviations are avoided. News language is often about KISS, keep it short and simple. A designer must keep in mind that paragraphs are not lengthy. Short paragraphs give breathing space to the reader. Photograph. You must have heard the saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Photographs are able to break the literacy barrier to effectively communicate a message. One may forget what one reads, but if someone sees anything very interesting or attractive, one remembers that for a very long time. Photographs in newspapers enhance the credibility of the stories. This may lead to more people reading the story. Sometimes a picture better communicates a story than the written words. For example, a severely malnourished child or an aggrieved farmer whose crop is destroyed in flood or drought, or an emotional reunion of family members separated for a long time. As images depict reality, they also furnish evidence to show the authenticity of a news story or give proof of an event that occurred. Photographs also enhance the aesthetic values of a page and break the monotony of news content. Advertisement. Reading newspaper in the morning is a popular habit among households, irrespective of age and gender. Therefore, newspaper advertising has become one of the most popular advertising media. Promoting a brand through newspaper advertising means that the brand reaches across households. Studies have shown that newspaper advertisements help consumers more in making purchasing decisions. Some advantages of newspaper advertising are focused targeting. As newspapers have better reach and focused targeting, it works as an advantage. According to Nielsen, nearly 170 million American adults read a newspaper, and 51% of them read the print version of newspapers exclusively. Despite the availability of news on digital and audio-visual media, most of the educated households buy one or more newspapers. It shows that newspapers are the best way to convey one's message. Better engagement. Majority of newspaper readers are more engaged with the newspaper than the other media. Compared to the news appearing in social media or other mediums, they give more value to a newspaper. Thus, placing an advertisement in a newspaper will get more attention from the readers. Affordable and flexible. If cost per thousand readers is calculated, you will find that placing an advertisement in a newspaper is much more affordable than any other media. As there are many kinds of newspaper advertisements, advertisers have many options to choose from. There are two categories of newspaper advertisements: classified and displayed. Classified advertisements are limited by size, placement, and features are mostly text heavy and restricted to a particular section of the newspaper. Compared to display advertisements, classifieds are cheaper. Classified, job openings, matrimonials are a few examples of classified advertisements. These are placed under particulars of heads such as situations vacant, home services, miscellaneous, etc. These advertisements are meant for targeted people. Display. These advertisements are again of two categories: fixed size and variable size. You can see the following types of fixed size display advertisements in a newspaper. Quarter page advertisement. As the name suggests, it covers an area equivalent to a quarter of a page. Normally, the size of these advertisements are 4 columns or 16 centimeters in width and 25 centimeters in height. Preferred place is bottom right of the page. Half page advertisements. It can be of two types: vertical half page and horizontal half page. All front page sizes of the vertical half page are normally 4 columns or 16 centimeters in width and 46 centimeters in height. Size of a horizontal half page advertisement is 33 centimeter wide and 25 centimeter long. This is placed at the bottom of the page. Full page advertisement. Size of these advertisements are equivalent to the size of the page of a newspaper, that is 33 centimeter wide and 52 centimeter long. Jacket advertisement. It is placed before the front page but below the masthead of the newspaper. Back page jacket covers the full page. Skybus advertisement. These are placed below the masthead throughout the width of the page. Normally, these are 5 centimeter in height. Panel advertisement. Placement of this advertisement is on both sides of masthead on front page. Pointer advertisement. These are 1 column in width and 5 centimeter in height. Normally, these are pointers to bigger advertisements which are placed on inside pages. Variable or custom size advertisement. As the name suggests, the size of these advertisements are not fixed, but normally newspapers keep minimum accepted size of such advertisements. Nowadays, the vertical flap and front page gatefold advertisements are also becoming popular. Now we will discuss how headlines, pictures and captions are used on a page. Headlines. Headlines play an important role in attracting attention. Pattern of headlines depend on the style of the newspaper. Here we will discuss some important and widely used styles. Banner. These headlines are spread throughout the width of the page. Letter sizes are very large and used at important occasions only. Skyline. These headlines are used only when something extremely important happens. In this pattern headline, is placed over the masthead of the newspaper. Cross or bar line. These are single lines and placed at the center over the story. Double cross. These are written in 2 lines and run throughout the width of the story. Flush left. While reading, our eyes move from left to right. Flash left headlines are left aligned, and these are one of the most commonly used styles. Inverted pyramid. Normally, these are used in single column news stories. These headlines consist of 2 or 3 lines. The uppermost line has the maximum width. Width of the lines below are decreasing, giving the shape of a pyramid. Waist headline normally consists of 3 lines. First and third lines are equal in length, and second line is shorter and centered, thus forming the shape of the waist. Kicker or shoulder. These are not actually the headlines, but line placed on the top of the main headline. Its length is shorter than the main headline. Photo editing. Like copy editing, photo editing is also very important in print journalism. Be it an independent photograph or associated with any particular news, a photojournalist has to choose what he or she wants to show. Basic principles of photo editing are selection, cropping, enhancing, and sizing. Let us discuss them one by one. Selection of photographs. One has to keep in mind that readers generally like to see drama, action, art, emotion, and prominence in a photograph. Drama picture clearly tells what is happening. It can show several things happening together. For example, in photographs of an accident, along with the scene of the accident, people standing nearby and fighting might appear. Action photographs are those which bear some kind of movement. People always like action photographs more than still ones. Sports photographs are mostly action photographs. Artistic photographs are those which have sharp and clear focus. Photographs of hill stations or when change of season are good artistic photographs. There are photographs which evoke some emotions in the viewer's mind. These are called emotional photographs. Image like a hunger-stricken child or a devastated person who has lost his family in an accident might fall under this category. Prominent photographs are those in which prominent personalities and celebrities are shown. It may not contain the above mentioned qualities. Cropping a photograph. After selection, cropping a photograph is also necessary. When one takes a photograph, there are many wasteful things in it which distract the viewer. In cropping, the unwanted parts of the photograph are removed. Thus, the viewer focuses only on the most important part of the photographs. Enhancing of photographs. For better printing quality, photographs need some adjustments, which is called enhancement. With the help of photo editing software, brightness, color, and sharpness of a photograph are adjusted. While doing so, one must keep in mind that the basic subject matter of the picture should never be changed. Sizing a photograph. After all the above mentioned process comes the sizing of a photograph. Photo editor might have to increase or decrease the size of the photograph, but length and breadth of it should be in the same proportion as the original. Sizing is done to place the photographs in the required space. Captions. Although we know that a picture is worth 1,000 words, it cannot answer all the questions: who, what, where, when, why, and how. Nor can they always make it clear exactly what is happening. So, a few words are needed to describe these facts. The caption should always give new and more information than what is seen in the photograph. A credit line is also given with the caption. In anatomy of a newspaper, we have seen what pages are there in a newspaper. Now we will discuss some important points of making a front page, editorial page, and supplements. Front page. The front page is the major selling point of a newspaper because it attracts the potential readers to buy it. The layout of the front page, headline and photographs are important factors that determine the level of attention. These are some points which need to be paid attention while laying out front page. Every page has a focal point. Most of the newspapers use the top left corner to place the lead, the story of the day. A good large picture on the front page makes the newspaper attractive. Sometimes 2 or more photographs are used. Every part of the page, left versus right or the upper versus lower half, must be in proper proportion. Headlines and other elements should be placed in such a way that one part doesn't overshadow another. 2 headlines of similar size should not be placed side by side. In designing the front page of tabloid newspapers, big bold headlines and large images are used to grab the attention of readers. Editorial page. It is the opinion-making part of the newspaper. Apart from the opinion of newspapers, editorial board authored analytical articles are also published. Most of the newspapers keep the layout design of editorial pages quite simple. 1 or 2 edit notes written by the editorial board are placed on the left side of the page. An authored article is placed in upper half of the page. Articles of comparatively smaller size is placed at the bottom of the page. In between the 2 articles nowadays, some newspapers have started using independent graphics and cartoons. Supplement pages. As the name suggests, these pages are distributed free with the main section of the newspaper. There are 2 types of supplement pages: news-related and advertising supplement. News-related supplements accompany almost every day's main section. It contains softer or lighter news. Layout of these pages are more colorful than the main section. Advertising supplements are not regular. These are related to any particular section, for example, real estate, automobiles, etc. Conclusion. One must keep in mind that whether a reader picks a newspaper or not depends not only on the news content but design also. If it looks neat and balanced, readers get attracted towards it. So while designing, one must view it from the reader's eyes. That is all in today's episode. We will soon come back to you with another interesting topic. Till then, goodbye.